How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading with the prices going up or down. So over on Dixie for the daily, we are trying to continue forward off our descending channel. Remember, that is a bullish pattern, so we did break forward from that. Stochastic is pulling back, RSI is flat, VWAP is indecisive, and money flow is bullish. So depending on that VWAP, we could end up pulling back. We did reject that 104 area as of today, or as of our next candle, that is. So we did run up toward the top, we tried to hold, and we were not able to do so as we did have a gap below us. We did fill that gap, and then we continued lower. This could be positive because remember, usually crypto goes up when Dixie goes down, and we do have a lower high. So if we get a lower low, we could create a bearish channel that could bring us lower. We will delete this channel now that we have seen its full play out and that we continued a little past it. So sometimes you get more than the move, sometimes you get less. It's always better to plan for less and then have some riding for more. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is flat, momentum does want to break bullish, and that VWAP is trying to cling, so watch that VWAP. If it can get higher low and continue with higher highs, then momentum can bring money flow into the green and we could push up. Again, that would be negative for crypto though. So over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we are trying to invalidate this rising channel, so we are going to delete this as we got our retest and a bounce. This would be where if you were trading on a pattern, you would bet on the break to the upside if you were betting on some sort of upside pattern, as we got that retest, pulled back to the top, and continued forward. Our stochastic is starting to round away. RSI is pretty flat, but if stochastic continues to drop, RSI could start to pull back with price. Momentum does want to round. VWAP is trying to hold bullish, so watch that VWAP. If we can make a higher low, then get a bigger wave, kind of like back here, then momentum can remain bullish, money flow can push up, and Bitcoin will continue to outperform our altcoins. Remember, if dominance weakens and Bitcoin's going up, usually that means our altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin, but right now it looks like that is not the case. So over on total for the daily, we are trying to break that previous bear consolidation zone, and we're kind of struggling with breaking above and holding. Our money flow is breaking bullish, VWAP is trying to push up, stochastic does want to gain strength, we do have that blue above orange, and RSI is pushing forward, so this could help propel us forward. This is more of a long lower shadow candle kind forming here. So if lower time frames can remain bullish, we could continue higher. Over on this 1 hour, we did have a potential rising channel in this area, but we continued to break above it. We did not get a consistent high, and we got more of a bullish continuation. This is a long upper shadow candle that did want to bring us down, but it's followed by a green candle. So I would watch very closely for a break to the upside and a hold of this previous consolidation zone. If we get a hold of this previous consolidation zone, we can continue toward the top of our golden pocket, possibly getting some new highs for some altcoins. But if we see a rejection here, we could continue lower, and then I would watch at 602. Right now, I am betting more on the bullish continuation as we did break that 300 EMA. We did continue forward. We do have a little bit of a gap below us, though. Remember, gaps have an 80% likelihood to fill. So if we do see a correction, bounce off that 300 EMA and then continue forward, that would be ideal, as we would still have potential for higher highs with higher lows to continue the bullish continuation and continue to push us up. Our VWAP is starting to round away, momentum does want to round, and that money flow is bullish. If that VWAP can continue to favor bullish here, we will strengthen those higher time frames and then have that chance to continue higher. So over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we do have a gap here as well, so again, exercise caution. We are trying to get another bounce forward, so this is very positive. We want to see further green candles here if we're going to continue higher, but remember, if we continue higher with our three gaps, our 54, 57, and now the 69K gap, then we could end up retracing these gaps and crashing at a later date because they do have an 80% likelihood to fill. Not saying we have to pull back, but there's an 80% chance. Stochastic does want to push forward, that does look positive. RSI is pushing up, VWAP is gaining strength, and money flow is in the green. So overall, the daily does look positive for a continuation forward. Over on the 1 hour, you can see that retest and a bounce of that 69K. That is very positive. That could have been your hint that we would see this little bit of a rally. But now that we're seeing this rally and we have the long upper shadow with a gap to the downside, I would warn against a red candles because remember, we could fill that gap and then ideally we would bounce and continue to fill the, we do have a 67K gap here as well. So we have several gaps that we have created. We also have a 66K gap. So that's like 4 or 5 gaps to the downside. I would exercise caution on that, not saying we have to break down. We can still continue to invalidate this channel and try to break to the upside yet, providing that VWAP stays bullish, as that money flow would remain in the green then. If that money flow can remain green, we can continue higher as long as that VWAP is favoring bullish, pushing momentum and money flow up. So remember, just because we have gaps to the downside doesn't mean we have to reject. It just means we could push to a new high, and then that's where we could see a brutal rejection, as we do have lower gaps. So over on the daily, very similar. Stochastic does want to break up. RSI is pushing forward. VWAP is gaining strength, and money flow is well in the green. So the daily is pretty strong here. And if those lower time frames can continue the strength, then we will continue forward. Over on the 1 hour, we do have this bullish continuation. We did call this retest of the blue EMA in our Discord. So remember, join our Discord. Links in the description down there. Our stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pulling back. VWAP does have a lower high, so watch for a lower low. If we get a lower low, then momentum and money flow could fall. But if that VWAP gets a higher low followed by higher highs, we can continue forward. I would watch that VWAP very close, and we are trying to get 2 long upper shadow candles. So if followed by a red candle, we could see a rounding top that would take us down here. Again, watch for higher highs. If we continue higher highs with higher lows, then we can still continue forward despite a momentary pullback. So over on graph for the daily, we are trying to continue to bounce off this neckline. We are still kind of struggling with it. I will delete it as we pretty much got our full move to the downside, but that doesn't mean there can't be more downside. That just means we're done with our pattern for now. Our stochastic is pulling back, but we do have a bullish cross that is positive that can help push our RSI and price forward if we can break and hold above 30. VWAP does want to break that neutral. Momentum is pushing forward and money flow is in the green. We did get a little bit of a test into the red, but then we pushed forward. So this does look positive overall, providing these lower time frames can stay in that bullish territory. Over on the 1 hour, we do have some sort of a consolidation zone that could be going on here. So I would watch. Remember, a consolidation after a breakdown can create a bear flag that could try to break that 14,316 and push us lower. We do have some gaps to the downside, like this 15,127. So I would watch if we do end up filling that and then bouncing. That would be ideal to continue a bullish channel. However, if we fill that gap and then shoot through it, that's where the bears can gain that control. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is gaining strength. VWAP is starting to round away, so I would watch. Momentum does want to push up. But if that VWAP runs away and breaks through that neutral, momentum could pull back. Money flow is trying to push toward the green. So right now, we do look like we're about to gain some bullish strength. Again, if we get a pump up without filling our lower gaps, I would just warn against that pump being sustainable, because usually gaps do have an 80% likelihood to fill, and trading is about probability. You want to keep probability on your side. Over on Ankr for the daily, we have a very indecisive candle. There's no body to be found. RSI is pretty flat. Stochastic is starting to pull back. Our VWAP is favoring bearish. Momentum is dropping and money flow is in the green. But if that VWAP rounds away here, that money flow could start to lose strength. So watch those lower time frames. Over on this 1 hour, very similar consolidation probability here, where we can make a bear flag to break that 2338 and then continue us lower. Remember, we do have some way lower gaps here. Ankr loves its gaps. It's one that if you want to do gap trading, it's one to really watch, as we have these lower gaps here. We did continue lower, then we jumped up to fill those. That shows how those gaps do tend to fill. We have this gap back here. We did end up rejecting filling that gap. We created new gaps in doing so, and that gave us our run up. This could be a double bottom here, so if we can break this kind of neckline area we're fighting right now, then we could continue forward. But I would watch that long upper shadow candle, because if we get a strong red candle, it's likely we will reject our EMA band. Our stochastic does want to round away. VWAP is starting to pull back. Momentum is in the bullish territory and money flow is pushing up. But if that VWAP breaks and gets a consistent low, I would keep an eye on it, as then we could get bearish strength. Right now, that VWAP is favoring bullish, so as long as it stays above this neutral or it gets very short peaks into the bearish territory, then we can continue forward and see that double bottom instead of that bear flag possibility. So over on XRP for the daily, we are retesting the bottom of our flag possibility. We want to see a break and hold in this flag if we're going to see it play out. Remember, this could be a manipulative move where the bears try to fake you out. Remember, they do that from time to time. Stochastic does want to push up. RSI is gaining strength. That VWAP does want to break that neutral, pushing momentum higher with a green dot and giving money flow the strength to turn green. So that is positive on the daily. Over on the 1 hour here, we do have higher highs with higher lows, so we are continuing forward. We don't have any gaps to the downside, so we do look pretty healthy. There may be a little mini one there, but I would watch. This could continue to push us up if we don't round away here. If we round away here, we could make a lower high, then if followed by a lower low, we could get bearish continuation to drop us away. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, and that VWAP is bullish, but it's starting to pull back, so watch that VWAP as this wave is shorter than the previous one, and if we see these waves weaken to the bullish side and strengthen to the bearish side, we're likely going to see a rejection. So if there's no other special requests, we will be done after DAG that was requested in the Discord. Again, if you're not in the Discord, you want those daily updates, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and hit that Discord link. So our stochastic is pulling back on the daily. It does want to get a bullish cross, so watch if that can maintain. RSI is pushing forward, momentum does want to gain strength, and that VWAP is trying to break the neutral, pushing money flow into the green. So if lower time frames can sustain, we may get a break forward here. Remember, we did say we could see a break toward that 1350 if we can break and hold that 300 EMA. We did reject the 250 EMA though, so I would watch if we get a strong red candle. If we do, we could create a rounding top and pull back. Stochastic is rounding away, RSI is starting to curl away, momentum is rounding, that VWAP does have a higher high, but we're starting to pull back, watch for a higher low. If we get a higher low followed by another decent high, we can continue that bullish momentum. We do have higher highs with higher lows right now, so we do have the possibility of this becoming a bullish continuation to break that resistance and then continue us forward. So over on DAG for the daily, one of our losers of the day, we did have this descending triangle and we bounced off the bottom, so I would watch very close. We may see this pattern play out. That being said, we may see it act as a support. We did lose against the rest of the market, so if we do see a pullback, DAG might outperform in that aspect. Over on the daily, our stochastic is pulling back, RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, that VWAP is favoring bearish, and money flow is starting to favor bearish as well. Watch that VWAP. If it continues to pull back here, our money flow will remain red, and we could break through our pattern early. Remember, you don't have to wait till you get to the tip of the pattern. So over on the 1 hour, our candles are very close together. Price action is very quick, so we're just kind of scaling our way up and down and just sliding down. This could be a descending channel, but the highs and lows don't connect too well in my opinion, so I wouldn't bet too much on a break forward. Maybe we retest some of these EMAs, and if we can break that 300, then we could invalidate our pattern, but if we don't get toward that 300 and break, then we will continue in our pattern. Our stochastic does want to push up. If we zoom in here, our RSI is starting to pull back. VWAP is starting to pull back, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP breaks through and gets a lower low again, we will have a short high followed by lower lows, and that will remain to push continue to push momentum lower. That will remain in the bearish territory, and money flow will continue to pull back. If we see that, then we will continue to bleed out, and again, we could break out early and see that downside play out. Remember, this pattern can take us somewhere around that 11 cent area that we warned about, 11.11230. So quite a loss. That's about 50% from where we are. I would watch this pattern very close. Since we have no other requests, thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great night. Hit the like.